I will call the Common Council meeting to order. We have a roll call, please.
Dankert.
Here.
Gallops.
Here.
Godsky.
Here.
Iverson.
Here.
Reamer.
Here.
Schatzinger.
Here.
Split.
Here.
We have a quorum.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
My name is Paul Ethington. I'm a Christian pastor here in town, and so I'll be praying in Jesus' name. And so please join me only if you feel comfortable doing so. God in heaven, thank you for your mighty works of creation and redemption. You're good and you're gracious. God, I thank you for creating us in your image to exist in community with other people. So thank you for sustaining us with life and breath and food and water and all that we need that you created us for. God, thank you for the city of Ripon and all who have worked hard and gone before us to make it what it is today. Thank you for these elected officials and city employees, and thank you for the businesses and churches and other organizations and families and individuals working together to make Ripon a great place to live and work. God, we recognize that some of the good work that is done here would not be necessary if it were not for the rebellion of your first two image bearers, our ancestors. So even as this rebellion continues in thought and word and deed around us, and even inside of us, thank you that even as you are glorified in your creating work, you intend to be more glorified in your redeeming work. So thank you for your eternal Son, who to become the Redeemer, took on human flesh, to live a perfectly righteous life, to die a sacrificial death that he did not deserve, and then to rise triumphantly from the grave. In your gracious providence, he accomplished this work in place of all who believe, redeeming us from the penalty we rightly deserved. The greatest demonstration of your redeeming love and power is indeed the cross and the empty tomb. So in light of your creating and redeeming work among mankind, tonight I thank you for instituting civil government for your good purpose. Thank you for these elected officials and the staff gathered here that work so diligently to keep this a good city. I ask that you would continue to demonstrate your love and power by granting clarity and wisdom to those who fulfill their various roles as they seek the good of our city and its residents. We recognize that there may be disagreements among well-intentioned individuals tonight. Please grant each council member the humility to listen well and the ability to articulate opinions as they work together to make progress toward the best possible solution for each issue on tonight's agenda. I ask these things with humble confidence in the great and powerful name of Jesus. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
All right. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Doug, second by Steve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving tonight's agenda say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. No one has signed up for public comment. We'll move into accepting informal reports from standing committee and staff. Would there be a motion to approve the reports as published?
I'll make a motion to approve the reports as published.
I'll second.
A motion by Dave, seconded by John. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the informal reports from standing committee and staff as published, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those are approved. Next is our consent calendar. This consists of city council minutes from the meetings of May 13th and May 27th. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar as published?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Jonathan, second by Doug. Any discussion on the consent calendar? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the consent calendar say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. Moving into our first agenda item, resolution recognizing and commending Officer Trevor Hankey for 34 years of dedicated service. I would actually like to read this resolution. Whereas Officer Trevor Hankey has honorably served the community for 34 years as a police officer in the City of Ripon Police Department, And whereas throughout his career, Officer Hankey has served as a canine handler for 3 department canines, providing an invaluable service to the department and the citizens of Ripon. And whereas Officer Hankey has also served as firearms instructor, sharing his expertise to ensure the safety, preparedness, and professionalism of his fellow officers. And whereas during his service, Officer Hankey received more than 35 commendations in recognition of his exemplary performance, dedication, and commitment to law enforcement excellence. Now therefore be it resolved that the Ripon City Council formally recognizes and commends Officer Trevor Hankey for his outstanding and dedicated service to the city of Ripon and its residents, and express sincere appreciation for his contributions to the safety and well-being of the community.
Did you need to do a motion on that, or you're all good?
Let's take a motion and then we'll go to the presentation. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve this resolution.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Doug, second by Steve. Do we need discussion? We can have conversation after the vote. All those in favor, actually, we need a roll call for this one. Have a roll call vote, please.
Denkert.
Yes.
Gallops.
Yes.
Godsky.
Yes.
Iverson.
Yes.
Reamer.
Yes.
Schanzinger.
Very much yes.
Split.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Chief.
After 34 years of service, it would have been pretty embarrassing for that resolution not to pass, right? 34 years. We've worked together. So it's been an emotional couple weeks. So I just would like to congratulate Trevor on his retirement. It's been a special bond that we've had together for 34 years. And I wish him all the best going forward. Surely he will be missed by the department, by the community, for all the great work and all the great things that he's done. So, do have a plaque to give to Trevor to honor his 34 years of service, and just say congratulations. Thank you. Look right here, guys. Thank you. Very good. I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Moving into our next agenda item, to approve annual alcohol beverage licenses requested for the period of July 1, 2025 through June 30, 2026. Before we get a motion, I would like to point out that there was a miswrite on the application for Ivy. The police department should have checked the approve box. That was an accidental oversight, and the police department does approve their application.
I'll make a motion to approve all the applications. I'll second.
We have a motion, and that's to approve the whole list as published. Correct? Yeah. So we have a motion by David, second by Steve. Steve?
Just have a question. Were there any violations that we should know about from the police chief of any of these applications that we should know about? Hate to throw you on the spot, but
You mean since last year?
yes.
Or was it?
Stand by.
Yeah.
Say it in reverse, huh?
I want to be a little careful. I know there's one establishment that we've had some conversations with, but I'm not sure that that was in the last year for violations. The year before. So within the last year, I don't think we've had any.
Thank you.
I just have a question. Should we modify the form, or could we modify the form? This is a state form, okay. So I was just wondering because of the way that we have our notes on it, if we needed to standardize or not.
No, this is a state form and it was just revised last summer, so it's okay.
Good question.
I'm sorry, somebody was talking to me back there. Did you address the?
Yeah, we cleared up the height.
Okay.
John?
Are there any late ones, or it doesn't seem like they're all here?
Yes, you will have one late one, and that will be China 1, and you'll have that at the next council meeting.
Okay.
And that's the only other one. Everybody else that's.
Okay, maybe I didn't see the one I'm thinking of.
Where do you think?
I was thinking of Canoe, but,
He's no longer going to be on here. He's getting his through the state. 'Cause
Oh.
he's a brewery.
because okay.
Yeah,
All right.
so you won't see David anymore.
So there's been a state law regarding breweries. He's moving to a brewery instead of a brew pub, so he gets a full retail license through that. The state law changed on that, so that frees up another liquor license for the
Oh,
community.
okay.
So we are generally down. I think we have 4 available. So generally, like in the past few years, we've only had 1 or 2 available. So that you may just see the numbers are down as well, just from a transition perspective.
And just for my clarification, Knuth only had a beer and wine, correct? They didn't have a full liquor? It had a full liquor, okay. Steve?
I may have missed it, but was Road 23 on there, in here?
No, they are not.
Okay. Well, I know they're closed for now, but, okay.
This will be after the meeting.
And with China 1, I assume it was not on tonight's agenda because they did not have the full publication time?
Correct.
So it'll be on next meeting in time for them to renew.
Yes.
Very good. Any other discussion or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the annual alcohol beverage license request as published, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those are approved. And now the approval of sidewalk cafe and/or outdoor service / beer garden licenses. This we have, again, we can take as a group. So we just have a few this year. For Mr. and Mrs. P's, Bell's, and Pastimes, and Jay's and Roadhouse. A little more than I thought.
I'll make a motion to approve all as published.
I'll second.
Motion by Mark, second by John. Any discussion on the sidewalk cafes and/or outdoor service beer garden licenses? We can find a shorter name for that.
Same question, maybe. Maybe the answer is the same. Knuth's isn't in here. They have the section outside.
Yeah, the section outside, that's also, we're working on that. That might be at the next meeting.
I just want to make a note, I really appreciate all of the business owners and places that go through the paperwork and get approved for this, because I really enjoy in these summer months being able to go to our local establishments and be outside for a meal or lunch or whatever it may be. So I think our ordinances seems to be working well, and I hope that we continue having it work well.
Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving sidewalk cafe and/or outdoor service beer garden licenses, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those are approved. All right, next up is pay application number 1 for the Hamburg Henny reconstruction project. This is, again, pay application number 1 totaling $290,000, or $290,385.38. It is recommended for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract to payment.
I'll second it.
Got a motion by David, second by Doug. Any discussion? Adam or Alan, do you have any updates on that project while we're on the topic? Is it going well?
I've not been made aware of anything going poorly, so I'll put that way.
That's a good sign. All right. Any further discussion on this pay application? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving pay application number 1 for the Hamburg Henny reconstruction project, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That is approved. All right, next up is the brush chipper purchase. Alan, I might as well just have you come up right away because you have all the information on this one. We have a recommendation for the Vermeer BC 1800XL in the amount of $109,290.58.
So, in the past, well, since I started here, the chipper is approaching, if not, the present one we have is approaching, if not, is 20 years old now. And there's been a couple of significantly costly repairs that we've done since I've been here. And having observed it being used when we cleared out the trees in Barlow Park, it seems to be getting a little tired. So I worked with Adam to work this into the budget as a capital item purchase for this year, and put the foreman and the mechanic and the crews in charge of getting the 3 major vendors in here with a larger size chipper to demo out, those being a Vermeer, a Moorbark, and a Bandit. We presently have a Moorbark, and put all 3 through their paces. I believe it was the Moorbark did not perform very well on the first try, so the sales rep took it back, had the factory folks service it and make some adjustments, and it still did not work very well, at least to our expectations. The Bandit struggled as well in comparison to the Vermeer. Ultimately, what it boiled down to is that when we put larger diameter logs in there that approached, if not met, the maximum size, the Vermeer munched right through it, didn't hesitate at all. The other ones would have to stop, back it up, pull it back forward. So, and with, I think both of them, the feed wheels were actually slipping as it tried to push the log against the chipper drum. So, hands down, the Vermeer performed the best out of the 3. And with that, that's why we are recommending that we purchase the Vermeer.
Just out of curiosity, Vermeer is based out of Appleton, or is that just their local office?
They have a local shop out of the Little Chute area, the sales and service.
Were there any significant differences in the maintenance intervals or complexity of maintenance for the units?
They're all comparable. It's all based on the number of hours that you put in there. So if you took a look at the Vermeer warranty, or their what do they call it, their plus plan, which is nothing more than a maintenance plan, is basically at 50 hours because of it being new, then 100 hours, and it gets a little bit more elongated. I think it gets down to about every 250 hours that you do service checks on it.
And just for some comparison, would that be like for our usage case, was that like about every year we use it for 250 hours?
We figure, I asked our mechanic to comment on that, and he said we might approach 200 hours in a year. So,
So it'll ultimately become like an annual maintenance.
yeah, that's, John's got everything scheduled for the routine maintenance.
John?
I like the idea that Vermeer, that's what I see getting pulled down the street all the time by other cities.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's got to be a reliable machine. My question is, the money part, it was in the budget for next year?
For this year, I'm sorry, for the 2025 budget,
Okay.
that's my fault. I'm
Okay.
trying to hammer this out real quickly.
That's fine. I just saw the 2026,
Yeah.
but, okay, so you had, so we.
It is in the
saved money.
2025 budget.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
And just to follow up on that, obviously, it fits the costs, it fits the budgeted amount.
Correct. We had budgeted 150. We were contemplating going even larger than this one, and when we looked at it, we felt that that was excessive for our needs, so we scaled it back.
Way to save money.
Try to.
And if this is approved tonight, what's the turnaround for delivery?
They have it in stock right now, so we'll get it in a few days.
Very nice.
What are you gonna do with the old one?
Yeah, that was my question.
We, actually, we have an agreement with with Vermeer that, I can't remember what the trade-in was, but we'll put it on the surplus auction site. If we don't get what Vermeer agreed to, then they'll give us that. I don't think it was very much. I think we'll get more on the auction site.
Anyone like to make a motion? Dave?
I'll make a motion to approve buying the Vernier for $109,290.58.
I'll second that, Mayor.
Motion by David, second by Doug. Any further discussion? Thank you, Alan. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the purchase of the Vermeer BC 1800XL for $109,290.58, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. Thank you. All right. Next up is a resolution amending the City of Ripon Employee Handbook, Section 307, personal time. Adam?
So in your packet, there is a draft amendment to the employee handbook for personal time. So we just did a kind of a comprehensive review of the employee handbook in the last couple years, made some changes, and we continue to kind of see things that, or identify things that may need further refining. I think I forgot to put in the actual current language, but essentially, the language is that 36 hours of personal time are accrued on January 1st of each year. And then this is outside of your other traditional time off banks of, you have your holiday pay on our recognized holidays, you have your vacation, and then you have your sick, and then personal is kind of this catch-all. And recently we've seen just an increased complications and general use in ways that have created somewhat of a financial liability and just kind of mismanaged. So, everything from employees using the full balance and then leaving before the end of the year, ultimately, this isn't earned, so we end up paying it out though, so it's sort of this unfunded liability when we have people term. So generally speaking, our goal here is to, at first review, move it to an accrual basis so there is a better understanding that this is not front-loaded and that it is earned. But there is the ability to essentially go into the negative and have it paid back, but it ultimately is tracked. New hires or all hires, right, is accrued based on the completed pay periods for the year, so they're not given 36, it's prorated. And then there's an option for you to consider regarding the payout of personal time. Currently, we do pay out personal time, but as we review it, we have to bring it up and just say, this is, like I said, an unfunded liability. If you want to change it to not have it paid out, because it is sort of like a floating holiday type thing, not a vacation. Vacation gets paid out in full with caps on it. Sick leave gets paid out after certain tenure with us into a health savings account. So there are other payouts. This is in addition to that. So generally speaking, there are two options, but we do recommend a change in how we handle this based on just the issues we are seeing.
So generally, I am in favor of getting your leave, your personal time vacation in full when you're hired on, but then prorated for whatever that date may be. But with the understanding that this is maybe, like you said, it's in addition to vacation, is vacation then granted basically lump sum, not accrued on hire date, or is that also
Vacation is accrued.
Okay.
So everything else is accrued. Like I said, we let people go into the negative when they start because sometimes there's vacations. The other side of it is I don't think we've hired somebody in the last 4 years on the existing vacation schedule. So they're accruing at a higher rate than just an entry level because we're essentially laterally transferring in people at times to get them to come work for us because they're not willing to give up 7-10 years of vacation from their current employer. So it's accruing at a larger rate. And we've had to make adjustments there, right? So when we offer letters, if somebody's not with us for more than 2 years and we front vacation, we aren't paying out more than what they would have earned if they had started at the bottom of the scale, because we ran into that, right? Where you front 7 years, somebody lasts a year and a half, they leave, and they get paid out a ton of vacation. So this has been a kind of a evolution. This is the next sort of like, hey, we've seen issues, we've seen misuse, and people, getting paid out large sums of money. It's 36 hours, but it's still, it's 4.5 days. It's basically a week's worth of pay out the door.
Yeah, in general, I think the not paying out this kind of additional time makes sense to me. Just my feelings on this.
So, just make sure I'm reading the two options correctly. The only difference is the last paragraph, whether a lump sum is paid out versus nothing is paid.
Correct. That is correct.
Currently, we are paying out today and also allowing them to go into the negative.
No, we front load 36 hours, and so it's there. But we will be changing the administrative practice of this regardless, right? We need to bring awareness to the fact that, we've had people literally hold off retiring or leaving January 2nd because it resets to 36 and they get paid out 36 hours. So that's kind of been some of the things we've seen. But currently, the bucket, it starts with 36 on January 1, and then people draw it down, and in this case, you have to work the full year to achieve the 36 hours. If you go into the negative, it'll catch up. You just use your other accounts. Yeah. And if you terminate with us in the year and there's a negative balance, we recoup it back either via other time off or via, last check. There are certainly some people that we've had where they go on leave, right? And they don't come back and they use everything and they don't have a check. In those cases, you got us, right? In some circumstances, but that's when we don't allow them to go beyond what is accrued.
Any discussion or motions on this one?
I'll make a motion to approve option 2, the no payout option.
I'll second that.
A motion by Mark, second by Doug. Any discussion on option 2?
When's it gonna go into effect?
Upon notification and amendment to the handbook, so it can be effective tomorrow.
Okay, have the employees kind of got heads up on this?
Yeah, we've given notice about the change administratively, because we're switching to the accrued model. So they've been given notice of changes. We didn't address the idea of not paying it out, because the current policy was paying it out, so we will inform employees that this is no longer a paid out benefit.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, so then if it goes into effect tomorrow, and just say somebody's gonna retire in 2 months, they better use that. I mean, I'm just saying, they should use it before, because at their retirement, they won't get the payout.
Yeah, it would end payoffs. Yeah, it would end payouts, so.
Okay. Because I just don't want it to affect somebody that has been here. Say, I don't know if anybody is retiring in a couple years or a couple months, but I don't really want somebody to be affected by it if they put a large number of years in.
Yeah, I mean, that's something you can, you can implement it at a certain time, right? I mean, we're not talking, to be fair, right, and dollars matter, but, you could be talking a few $100s, right? So I hope people aren't making retirement decisions on that.
$200, yeah.
But they certainly would be encouraged to maximize that if they intend to retire.
So I just want to clarify an implementation. Current employees have already received their 36 hours for the year, correct?
They were given a bank, right? So essentially in payroll processing, all it would do is flip it to an accrual model. So it just would track it differently. But essentially, the current handling is the 36 is fronted on January 1st.
So the current employees have already been fronted that 36 hours?
That's how it was practiced, yes.
So effectively, the accrual process will start January 1st?
We would switch it effective immediately, because all it would do in payroll is kind of flip it and accrue it. So if somebody's used all 36, they would go into the negative, right? They would have to work the rest of the year to fill the bucket all the way back up, then January 1st it would just roll out, right?
Okay.
Ultimately, we're trying to bring awareness that this is accrued, as well as for employees to be able to better manage it, because, if somebody today in this current week had 36 hours and they used all of them and they were to leave, it would just say 0. And, they would be like, well, I don't owe anything then if I leave today. If you take it in the negative, you show that, yeah, you have overdrawn based on the accrual model. So similar to vacation and sick leave.
And just to be clear, the vacation and sick leave are still paid out.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
So just a kind of follow-up to the mayor's question. I know it made it sound like it doesn't make a difference because employees are able to go into the negative. Let's say they have something coming up soon in this next week and they were planning on 36. But it's only because we allow them to go in the negative once we go over to the accrual, right? I mean, wouldn't it be in the supervisor's prerogative to say we don't allow negative?
Yeah, I mean, it's in the policy, it discusses going into the negative, and certainly, we encourage people to be aware of it. They can go into the negative, and managers can allow that. They have other time off balances they can use as well. Generally speaking, it's a change in how we handle it. So we've received negative feedback from the correspondence we've had already saying, well, you're taking away something that was given to me. But at the flip side, you're getting something that hasn't been totally earned, right? It hasn't been accrued. You're using it ahead of time. So ultimately, if somebody chooses to go that far into the negative, they understand that it's going to accrue through the rest of the year. And if they used it all at the beginning of the year, or they use it and it goes negative, or they used it all and went to zero, it's still gone, right? It's just more of the awareness that it's owed back if they decide to term with us. So, I don't know if that answers the question totally.
Steve?
Is there a standard on vacation time?
Yeah, there's vacation comes, depending on years of service, you get X amount of days and it's accrued annually and you can roll over X amount of days and then it gets paid out in full with a cap.
Okay.
So there's nothing necessarily wrong with the vacation and the sick leave. And this moves this more to that model. And in effect, it's not our intention to change how employees use it. It's just bringing awareness and tracking and understanding that, we are going to, if you do not work the full year with us and you use it all, it will be recouped.
Any further discussion or questions? Steve?
Is there a maximum on your vacation days?
Well, depending on the years of service.
Well, how many, if you have 20 years of service, what would you be looking at for vacation?
I would have to look, Steve. I don't have the full handbook in front of me.
Okay,
but
well, that's my question. I mean, if you have 10 weeks of vacation, which I've never heard of before.
No.
From people.
I think it caps out at 4 or 5 weeks.
Okay.
25 days after 15 years or something.
Personal days.
And I will point out that the change in accrual method versus just a lump sum at the beginning of the year only affects employees who are leaving us in the middle of the year. Anyone who's staying, it does not affect them. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, can we have a roll call vote on approving the resolution for amending the City of Ripon Employee Handbook Section 307 personal time?
Denker.
Yes.
Gallows.
Yes.
Gotsky.
No.
Iverson.
Yes.
Creamer.
Yes.
Schatzinger.
Yes.
Split.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next up is a resolution amending the City of Ripon Employee Handbook, Section 405, sick leave donation.
So about a year or so ago, we implemented a sick leave policy for donating available sick leave. And we found that it's kind of hard to, it's kind of rigid, kind of hard to manage, hard to, just had a couple rules in it that weren't as friendly. So we wanted to do an amendment to this as well. We allow for individuals to make donations of sick leave to a pool. People then can apply to that pool. And generally speaking, this amendment clarifies that this is supposed to support an event tied to like FMLA or a medical event that a employee is experiencing. Clarifies the frequency and timing of donations. We had first originally said, kind of at January 1st, you can put hours into the pool or into the bucket. Now it clarifies, it says you can do it quarterly. So if somebody, if there's somebody who does need it, or if somebody's kind of maxing out and they forget January 1st that I want to make a donation to the bucket, they can do that through the year. Clarifies the limit of donations, and then eligibility, and then streamlining it to say how much cap they can get. So there's a draft resolution to make the change as recommended to the policy. Lud and I and Mary from HR, we worked through this and put it all together and just made it a little more flexible and easy to use.
This is a question. I think it's a simple question. I'm just not understanding it. It's just the donation of sick leave, the second from the bottom bullet. The donors may make donations quarterly, right? You just mentioned January 1st, April 1st, so we can follow all that. I guess my question is is that the exact day, or you're just saying once per quarter? Like what, so what if somebody applies for FMLA in February, no one knew it was coming, so nobody donated to that bucket. They can't donate until April?
Well, yeah, I mean, it would be January, right? So it's quarterly, and generally speaking, their employees they have to exhaust their existing leave buckets before, right? And ultimately, there's not saying that somebody can't draw and like donate and then draw backwards and get reimbursed retroactively. But we didn't want to leave it open-ended and just take my time, right? It was meant to be, generally, people have a lot of sick time off, right? Like, and other vacation leave, and all those have to be exhausted before this kicks in anyway. So we just, generally just put it as that. So we certainly can do it monthly. It's just, it doesn't come up that frequently,
You don't think it'll be an issue?
I don't think so. I mean, generally by the time somebody has something happen and, it's a lot of times these are planned, right? Like, and, it's like, hey, I'm going to need a surgery and I'm going to be off a full 12 weeks, but I only have 6 weeks of sick leave. But my surgery's not until July 15th, right? Okay, so you hit July 1st, somebody, can then donate at that point and they can apply. So I think timing wise, it's fine. And if people the idea too is if people put hours in the bucket outside of somebody needing it, there's hours built up already. So every quarter somebody can say, well, I didn't use any sick time, or, I'm set to retire, I'll throw some sick time into there for somebody to use. And then, generally there should be a pool there, right? The idea is to build up a pool versus, having it necessarily strategically given to somebody, but.
Jolene, then Doug.
If I remember right, the reason why this was created was because there was a city employee with, a family emergency, and people wanted to rally around this individual to support them, I think, and everyone felt good. What a neat idea. My concern is, and I can imagine if something like that were to happen, this is a really neat thing for people to do that. By having it as a standing policy, is there any concern that people may feel sort of guilted to use it, or you're not being a team player if you don't, and it's in people's right to use their vacation, and in fact that's healthy and good. I don't think anyone will come forward and say they don't want this, because who's going to argue against the ability to donate? But is there at all a concern, and I guess that would need to come from maybe a anonymous survey from employees, if actually this is something that helps or maybe it's causing some issues, but no one is going to come out and state that because it's going to sound like they're not a team player. Is there any concern?
I think, so to your point of when we first started sick leave donation policy, it was open-ended. Anybody can donate at any time. So if somebody needed something, hey, donate. Well, you're right, it became a popularity contest. It became department by department funding their own, right? And that's fine, right? So we moved to a model that, on January 1st, you could put, hours into a pool, and then anybody within the organization could draw upon it, right? The problem is that didn't really work, right? Because it's one time a year, and if somebody needs it through the year and nobody did it on January 1st, then, okay. So we're kind of hitting a middle ground now of where there's some flexibility for somebody to donate throughout the year. If somebody does need it, they can draw on it, and somebody can quarterly give toward it. But ultimately, from administration's perspective and HR's perspective, when we were managing that original policy, we didn't want to make employees feel like they had to donate sick leave to their boss
Yeah.
if they got sick, right? You know, most of us have sick leave and time built up, but you didn't want to have a pressure situation. So we basically kind of went to the, let's not pressure it, to now coming back to the middle, and that's where this policy kind of hits both the middle ground, but ultimately, you know, if there are 2 employees that come forward and there's 100 hours in the pot, and, you know, they can apply based on their FMLA need. And it may get split equally, it may get split depending on the severity of their need and what they have on their balance or whatever, right? It's not meant to make somebody feel obligated to do it, but we understand that there are incidents that occur during the year that, you know, somebody may need some, so we're hitting a middle ground with this, I believe.
Is it anonymous who donates into it?
Yes.
I will point out on the policy, on the backside of the resolution in the packet, donation of sick leave is voluntary and identities remain confidential. So I would assume that, correct me if I'm wrong, that the donation is between the employee and HR and no one else.
Yes, that is correct. All the forms, it's just the employee donates X amount, and then there's a form to request sick leave from the bucket once your sick leave is out or your other time off has been exhausted.
I mean, obviously, there's nothing to prevent donors saying they don't donate it, but that's not the intent. The intent is to develop the pot available, and there's times during the year when they can look at themselves and say, I'm going to donate some more for a sick leave, and they may have some knowledge of an individual that is going to benefit from that, but that's neither here nor there.
Doug, then Steve.
Yeah, the question I had was, just to clarify, they're not just 4 days a year they can donate. They donate once a quarter, correct?
Well, you can donate quarterly, and then there's you can't, you know, it says here minimum is 4 hours.
Right.
So you can't donate less than 4 hours.
So,
and then the maximum is 40.
So January 3rd, employee A could donate 4 hours.
January 3rd, somebody could donate 4 hours.
And then, but that's it for that quarter, but then they could come back on April 5th or whatever and donate another 4 hours of sick leave. Okay, so it's not just tied to 8 dates, tied by quarter.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
And I'm assuming that this rolls over year after year, so if nobody uses this pot, it would gain size, right?
That's the whole goal, right?
Yes.
Is to accumulate, and generally speaking, as people max out and get to the maximum allowed, they donated 40 hours, they work the rest of the year, they probably get that put back in, and then they could probably take it down again, and you know, it could just be an annual thing for those that have maxed it out and don't anticipate needing it, right? But you know, you know, the maximum allowed sick hour accumulation is significant, right? So, so those who are longer tenured and have it built up, you know, theoretically could donate annually. And that was the goal of the original policy, is like, hey, January 1st, you know, you can roll some in because you're going to accumulate more through the year instead because you've maxed out. It just wasn't really, it really didn't register, so.
My question was if there's money in the pot that they've donated their time, I'm assuming there's money in this pot. If nobody uses that, does that roll over to the next year, or does that disappear and they start over?
No, it rolls over to the next year.
Okay, well, that was my question.
Yeah.
Make sure that that builds instead of...
Yeah, the idea is to have it build, so we don't get into a situation where somebody feels pressure to dump a bunch of their sick leave in it for someone that's dealing with somebody, that there's a...
Right. Okay.
Naomi, do we have a motion on this one yet? No.
I'll make a motion to accept the sick leave donation program in the employee handbook.
I'll second it.
Motion by Doug, second by Jolene. Any further discussion or questions? So we'll have a roll call vote on the resolution amending the City of Ripon Employee Handbook, Section 405, sick leave donation. Adam?
Banker.
Yes.
Gallows.
Yes.
Katsky.
Yes.
Iverson.
Yes.
Reamer.
Yes.
Ottinger.
Yes.
Split.
Yes.
Yeah. Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, moving on to project updates and staff reports. Public Works?
First, I think the staff will thank you for allowing them to select the Vermeer. There's a little bit of angst about the fact that they had selected the most expensive. I told them we'd go to bat for that because of performance, so thank you very much. Sidewalks, hopefully next week we'll get those letters out. I have to check some random addresses that were brought to attention throughout the community, so I have to measure those up and add those in. And then as far as, Jonathan, you had asked about the stumps, since the Tuesday after Memorial Day, about half of the 90 stumps have been ground and restored, so they're working at that as fast as they can right now. That's about all I have.
Thank you. Anything from PD? No? Naomi?
Board review is tomorrow from 3 until 5.
And Adam?
Who is supposed to show up to board?
I actually went around and talked to each of them individually. So David, we're gonna see you, we're gonna see Jolene, we're gonna see Jonathan, Mayor, you will be there, Adam will be there, Lud will be here via Zoom, so we should be good. John is unable to attend. So we will have a quorum, we'll be good to go.
Thank you.
And we've met the education requirement for the year?
Yes, John.
Okay.
Did I ace my test?
Okay. Won't be here.
All right. Adam?
So just a couple updates. Library renovation project held the pre-con today with library staff, RJM, PRA, MSA was in attendance. So we went over the project, and I would anticipate exterior work starting probably in the next 2-3 weeks to meet the deadline. So that's positive. Another note with the library, it was announced that the new library director is Nancy Bell. She comes to us from Shawano, where she was the county library director, managing, I believe, 6 county libraries out of Shawano County. She will be starting here in early July. So we welcome her in about a month, and are excited to have her join us. She's been there for 3 years or so, and prior to that worked in Oshkosh as well as Milwaukee area. The Lakeside Municipal Court, there'll be a couple resolutions on the next agenda, so pay attention to those, but Judge Jay has retired. He has retired mid-term. So we've been working with North Fond du Lac, where the court is managed, and Lakeside Municipal Court, to everybody's understands, is the one of the, not the largest municipal court, but the largest serving number of municipalities served. There are 23 members of the municipal court. And basically what happens now is there will be a temporary appointment that will come forward. There has been the Lakeside Court Commission, which I am now the president of. Scary, I know. We have made a temporary appointment unanimously with
But it's coming to the
committee, and that's
coming to the committee, to the communities next.
yes, it's coming via resolution to the communities. So this individual was selected by the commission to move forward to all the communities via resolution. Every community has to pass the resolution making the temporary appointment effective July, August, through November 4th. We will have to have a special election November 4th or they will decertify the court. So there will be another resolution that we have to pass ordering an election. So that is, very unfortunate because it will cost the taxpayers of this county and other counties tens of thousands of dollars to do an election for a special election on November 4th. We tried to get the state to allow us to push it off until April. They said we will decertify the court if you do not have an election by November 4th. Okay? So that will be coming your way. Hamburg Henny, you approved the pay application. We will also be pursuing safe drinking and clean water funding for the project. So that will be on the next meeting as well. And other than that, you did have a letter from a complaint in your packet. I just wanted to address it quick. That property has been in the queue and being addressed back to about a year ago. Know that we are working toward compliance with that property. If you have any other questions, let me know.
Thank you, Adam. All right, tonight I have 3 reappointments to the library board. All 3 of these are currently serving, and I'd like to appoint them for another 3-year term. We will take them one at a time. I'd like to reappoint Breck Spears to the library board. If I could have a motion for that, I'd appreciate it.
I'll make a motion. Or I'll second.
Got a motion by Jonathan, a second by David. Any discussion?
How long has this person served on the board?
I believe this will be a second term.
I know Breck from the community, and I think he's a good candidate.
Any further discussion? There is none. All those in favor of reappointing Breck Spears to the library board, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved. Thank you for that. Next, I'd like to reappoint Janet Voskel to the library board.
I'll make a motion that we accept Janet's.
I'll second.
Motion by Steve, second by John. Any discussion there?
Same question.
Again, this would be her second term.
She's a pretty good person, isn't she?
I got nothing to say. I'm abstaining.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of reappointing Janet Voskel to the library board, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
She is reappointed. And last is Mary Madaram I'd like to reappoint to the
I'll
library.
make a motion to accept Mary Madaram as an appointment to the library board.
I'll second.
Motion by Doug, second by Jonathan. Any discussion there? Her second term.
Thank you.
In fact, I don't know if she did a full
No, it's not a full term.
So this would be her
First full term.
first full term's coming to. I believe she's been on for 2 years now.
Right.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of reappointing Mary Madaram to the library board, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? She is approved. Thank you for that. All right. No other communications or appointments for tonight. Any future agenda items or comments from council? John?
I just had a thought after what Adam brought up on that house that we got in our packet. Do we feel that we should look at our ordinance and the enforcement time so it doesn't take this long for that property to get that derelict? Or is it fine? I get complaints all the time and ask the chief. All the time I talk to him.
I don't think it's a timing issue within the ordinance. I think this is a issue that we have not taken seriously as a community for a long time, and we are way behind on every aspect of code enforcement. And so it's something that we've talked about previously within certain departments. We've put in systems in place, and we can certainly talk about code enforcement or what resources we want to put toward it, but generally speaking, I don't think the ordinances are the problem.
Okay.
It's the effort that was not and has not been here for years to keep ahead of it. So, that's where I'll end it. We can talk, kind of give you an idea if anybody's interested about the process. And there are things we can do to elevate that, but it's going to take time, energy, and likely dollars beyond what we are currently spending.
I did have a conversation with Alan a couple weeks ago. The city of Oshkosh has a website, you know, on their website that you can report violations, and it's anonymous. What I get most of the time, people will contact me and they'll say, please don't give my name. So I just say it came from me or whatever. That'd be something maybe to look into, that they can do it anonymously online.
Yeah, I think within our software, we can add a module that goes into there's a few things we don't currently have within our software that we manage code enforcement with. We could do everything from do an online module where somebody can report and it comes into the queue. Alternatively, we can post our current records of who's under enforcement, right? So people can look it up. If you want us to go that route, it's more money, but I'm pretty sure we can do that within Comcade.
Yeah, the only thing else that I would mention there, John, is that if somebody calls and reports something to the police department and they request to be anonymous, by statute, we have to honor that. So their information can't be released on who that complainant is, but they have to articulate that they want to be anonymous.
Okay.
So they can tell, if they tell dispatch that, they will put that in as anonymous complaint, and then there's no record of who that caller is.
Okay.
So that's by statute.
Even with an open records request?
Even with an open records request, because it's by statute for the anonymous information. But they have to request it.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Any other comments or future agenda items from council? Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn, Mayor.
I'll second.
Motion by Doug, second by Mark. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned at 8:04. Thank you.